So we are here to talk for a few minutes about Atlas. As Dom mentioned, on-prem, highly secure, performant. And I think the way that we'd like to kick off the conversation, or the way that I'd like to kick off the conversation, is to give Alex, who's the general manager of the Atlas product, a few minutes to talk a little bit about her background, how she came to Mapbox. And then I think that dovetails nicely into an intro about the Atlas product itself. So if you want to start there, I think that'll kind of set the tone for the conversation.
Yeah, Atlas and I have a long history. We go way back. So my cover letter actually mentioned Atlas in it, believe it or not. But I didn't apply to work on an Atlas team. Back then, so I joined Mapbox 3 years ago. My start date was December 1st, 2015. I won't forget it. And I was one of the original and founding members of our security team. And before joining Mapbox, I was doing things like die caps and stigging. Now we call it RMF. And with the DoD, I worked at Fort Belvoir. I did the long commute from DC to Fort Belvoir, an hour there, an hour back every day at Fort Belvoir Community Hospital. And I was doing a lot of SharePoint work, and I loved stigging it, making it more secure. But I went to a Code and Coffee in the DC office, and this was the garage. So about 30 people, 100-person company. We did this Code and Coffee event, and I went, wow, I love web maps. I love the vibe and this feel in this office, and I wanted to take on bigger and bigger challenges. So I applied for a position on the security team. So I was one of the original founding members of the Mapbox security team. And again, I mentioned earlier, I had Atlas in my cover letter. Well, I actually was a specialist in Microsoft SharePoint at the DoD. So I knew what it was like to install these large behemoth enterprise on-premises software solutions that ran behind a firewall. I knew that they could be tricky, that you'd start something up and then a port would be blocked and nothing would work. So I went, you know what? Wow, it's incredible that this cool open source company like Mapbox has an on-premise product. I want to make that a great product. I want to work on that. I want to make it the most secure offline mapping product that we have. So I mentioned that in my cover letter. I had all these ideas of what we could do to make it easier for the accreditation process, to make sure that you could have end-to-end HTTPS, that you wouldn't need to buy an expensive separate proxy server for Atlas. So I mentioned that in my cover letter. And then I was on the team for 2.5 years. And then when our CTO said, hey, this is back in spring of 2018, hey, we were starting up a Tiger team to work on Atlas to make it more secure, to make it, to get a new version out the door. Do you want to work on the team? And I couldn't say no to the opportunity. So I was a back-end developer on that team, worked on things like the Atlas installer and a build and release process. And then fast forward 4 months later, our CTO goes, hey, we're making this a full-time team. Do you want to be the leader of this team, the general manager? And I also couldn't say no to that opportunity. So and then in August of 2018, we shipped Atlas version 2. So now we have vector maps, all kinds of great things. And then even last January,
round of applause for vector version 2, yes.
And then we also shipped in January Atlas Search. So now you have global address level geocoding with global coverage. So I'll stop there. I think of.
So your cover letter worked, is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I guess it did. Yeah, 3 years later, it took that long to get the Atlas team position.
Beautiful. So the way that the intro went was secure on-prem, and security is top of mind for a lot of the organizations we're talking with. So that lends to a conversation around trends. So when you kind of take a step back and you think about on-mapping or on-prem mapping and location needs, and you think about security as a potential trend, like what are the other trends that you're starting to take notice of and that our customers are giving you feedback on?
Yeah. So I think as Anthony mentioned before, there's the classical government use case of I need to have maps behind a firewall on a classified network. I'm analyzing and telling stories and making decisions about the data that's on my classified network. You also have search and rescue operations, humanitarian missions. We have these classic use cases of running Atlas on an intranet or in a remote area. Those use cases are not going away. Those trends have been continuing. But what I saw on the security team, especially on the .com side, was that, I mean, we've all heard in the news, Equifax, there's been a lot of recent high-profile hacks, Marriott, Sony. We're seeing a lot of commercial companies who really want to lock down and protect their data. I mean, even government agencies get hacked. There's the OPM breach, everyone's fingerprints are out there. Yep. Then recently, FEMA was in the news too. So, and privacy is also on top of people's minds. So Facebook has been in the news a lot for different privacy incidents. So I'd say people are caring a lot more about security and privacy now than they were 5 years ago when I first was in the InfoSec industry. And as an InfoSec professional, that's such a relief to me that people are thinking about the security, the availability, the reliability of their products. That we want to make products that are secure, that are helping people. So we're seeing a lot of people who want to use secure services or secure systems. Now, I was on the security team for 3 years for .com. We have a secure platform, but there are some industries and regulations, some industries and companies that, by design, they don't want to give their data over to a third party.
Yep.
So what's great about Atlas is that, if you're using .com, you probably love our APIs, Mapbox, GLJS, all different libraries. Well, you can have the same user experience. You can create these beautiful performant maps using our APIs and our libraries, but you can do this totally offline with Atlas. So the data will never leave your network, and you can use your data with our product.
Yep. So one of the goals then is to try to get parity between that .com online experience and a secure on-prem experience.
Correct, yeah. The way I like to describe Atlas is that you could, let's say, we see this a lot with a lot of our commercial customers too. So HiveMapper is a great use case. They are a company that needs to provide an on-premise solution as well as a .com or online solution. So what's great about Atlas is that you can build your SaaS solution, use all the Mapbox.com APIs, use Mapbox GLJS, and then all you have to do is change one line of code. So you add a config URL Mapbox GLJS, you add the URL of your Atlas server, and it works.
Got it.
So the goal is that, it's just one line of code to get it to work with Atlas.
So that lends to the next question, which is around kind of the future, right? So you talk about trends, and this is what we're seeing right now. You think about this all day, every day, right? So this notion of on-prem, secure, scale to the masses. What's the future look like? So what are the things that you and your team are starting to think about in terms of the future of like this particular product and or like this tech in general?
Yeah, so I think when people think about on-premises software, they think, oh, well, people are moving away from on-premises, right? They're going to the cloud. I mean, we said that probably 10, 15 years ago. There's still people who need to run on-premises. So again, in government, classified networks aren't going away. People need to use maps offline in remote areas of the world. What I think people don't realize, perhaps, is that, so we had in IT history, people had software running on your desktops on-premises, then people moved to the cloud, things like Salesforce, Mapbox.com, you have these central servers. But with IoT and connected devices and 5G networks, where we have these devices that have these sensor data. And if you want these devices to talk to your cloud network, so in this example, Mapbox.com, you don't want latency. You want less speed. Mm-hmm. And just the distance alone from these 5G connected devices to .com, that makes it not so performant. And also, you could have a ton of data that you're processing on the edge. So our Vision SDK is something we released recently that's doing all this data processing on the edge, on your mobile phone, taking in this data, processing it, and then sending it somewhere else. So with all these connected devices, you want to solve this performance issue. So people are introducing edge gateways, these micro data centers that are in between your connected devices as well as .com. So when you're building out a system that works with edge networks, you have to kind of redo your architecture of your software. It's not the traditional cloud model. You actually need to make this software packaged up and deployable and deploy it to your edge gateway that's in the middle. So the way I see Atlas is that it could be run on these edge gateways.
Okay.
So we've taken our .com APIs and made them easy to run anywhere. You don't have to run them in AWS. You can run them on Google Cloud. You can run them on bare metal. So we made these so that you can put it on the edge gateway, and then these connected devices can talk to the APIs, and the edge gateway can serve up APIs and requests and data to these connected devices.
Got it. So edge gateways, Internet of Things. You want to can you double click on that for a second?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know this is kind of like wild thinking, but we did recently announce with Sprint 5G.
Okay.
With our Curiosity IT network, so that would be powered by Atlas. But to make it a bit more concrete, especially for this audience, things like smart cities. So you wanted sensors in your trash cans, or street lights, or street signs, other different things in the city. These connected devices can talk to, let's say, Mapbox Atlas running. These devices could be running Vision SDK, for example, taking in this data. Pedestrians trying to prevent car crashes or make safer intersections. You could have Vision SDK running these connected devices, and it can be talking to your Atlas server, and then it could do some processing and then send that over to another part of your network.
Got it. Okay. So we talked trends, talked a little bit about future. We'd be remiss if we didn't talk present and past, right? So Anthony, I don't know where Anthony is, but in his opening, he had a little joke about data and or limitations in terms of representing or presenting data on present day platforms. So alternatives exist. They've been around forever. So what are you seeing from a like what customers are ultimately looking for, not necessarily specific to Mapbox, but just in general, when we think about options and why customers are seeking alternatives at the end of the day. Like what's the ask?
Yeah, people want to tell stories. They want to have beautiful maps. They want to take their data. They want to display it. They want to go up in a room, maybe give a briefing to a colonel, a general, a division chief, and say, this is the story I'm telling. This is the decision that we need to make. So ultimately, people want a mapping solution that can tell a story. Not only are you helping people tell a story to decision makers, but you also want to be able to, after the meeting, distribute that to other people at the company so that they can drill down, interact with the data, and so that you're scaling and sharing this ability to make data-driven decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the two top trends I would say from our customers.
So digital storytelling, picture is worth 1,000 words, kind of?
Yeah.
Okay. I know we're running short on time, we're running out of time. So you've talked a little bit about use cases in the Gov space. Dom mentioned, I think she mentioned HIPAA, so there's obviously needs in the healthcare space. So when you start thinking about this problem outside of the government, and government typically looks to partner with industry and looks for ideas that your private sector might be implementing and deploying just to kind of get an idea for potential use cases. What does that look like? So when you think outside Gov, like, what are the use cases that kind of come top of mind for you?
Yeah, I'd say in terms of the commercial sector, we're seeing a lot of telecom, utilities, companies who want to create a product that works with both SaaS and on-premises, so HiveMapper, as I mentioned earlier. And then in-flight entertainment systems for airplanes is another trend that's come up, kind of more niche. And also, I feel like every week I learned about a new and interesting Atlas use case. You would not believe the things that people want to do offline. So to dig into that, with telecom in particular, we have companies who want to take this massive, telecom companies have their own telemetry data. They want to display it behind a firewall. It's great. They don't want this data to be leaked or breached. So they're visualizing network coverage in cities. So they're using advanced features like heat maps and 3D buildings to display the quality and coverage of their cell networks. For utility companies, so ERCOT's one of our Atlas customers, they do 90% of the electricity for the state of Texas. They need to run their software on air-gapped networks that are ISO 27001 certified. So they're able to use Mapbox GLGS to display power grids and power lines on the state of Texas. And then for commercial companies, again, they want something that their developers, it's easy for them to work with, that they just need to change. They want to use the same code base that's portable between their SaaS offering and their on-premises offering.
Got it. So digital storytelling, those use cases, we've talked about analytics as well. So when you start thinking about Atlas and analytics in use cases, are there, what are the things there that kind of stand out to you in terms of, again, not just Gov, but outside of Gov? So are there opportunities that the folks in this room should be thinking about?
Yeah, I'd say in talking to our customers, a lot of them want to use Atlas with Tableau.
Okay.
So they have these Tableau installations with tons of sensitive data, and they want to crunch the numbers and display it on a beautiful on-premises map.
Got it. Okay. I think we are about, actually, we're out of time. So this chat could have easily been 30 minutes. I asked Alex to figure out how to take the goodness in her mind and condense it down to about 15, which she's done a phenomenal job. Thank you, Alex. We are here for the entire day. This product is absolutely amazing. If you hadn't had an opportunity to either trial it and or get a hands-on experience with it, I highly encourage you. We've got a booth set up outside, as you know. You're going to learn more about it today. Pick Alex's brain. She's just got a ton of background to share and can give you insights into some things that you might not be thinking about that you should. So thank you all. Enjoy the day.